Ms. Colleen Tressler, Senior Project Manager, the Federal Trade Commission Division of Consumer and Business Education. Morning, Colleen.
Good morning, Gerard. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Thanks so much for joining us today. So, it appears that the scam artists are quite active as a result of the pandemic. Give us some insight into what's going on here.
Absolutely. You know, scammers follow the headlines, and whenever they see an opportunity, they're going to try to separate you from your money and your personal information, and the coronavirus pandemic is no exception to that rule.
Yeah. And so how exactly are they leveraging the pandemic to, I guess, devise scams that seem to be successful? What are they doing? How are they using the pandemic in that respect, Colleen?
So, you know, early on and just this past January, when the economic impact payments were going out, and people were having checks cut and sent to them, or direct deposit was happening.
Yeah.
You know, scammers were saying, you know, for a fee, I can help expedite that payment to you, when, you know, that was just not accurate. So people were trying to get money and possibly personal information at that time. Then as people were, you know, trying to find hard to find products in their maybe grocery stores, drugstores, things like PPE, household disinfectants, hand sanitizers, masks, what have you, and they weren't to be had, maybe because of inventory or just shipping issues, you were seeing these fake websites popping up claiming they had those hard-to-find items, and, you know, you can just order right here. All you got to do is send your information and pay for them with your credit card, and really, there were no products to be had there. That was just another way scammers were getting your money, your account numbers, and so on. And at best, you might get a knockoff, but you weren't getting the product that you ordered. And most recently, with the vaccines, you know, we've had issues because vaccines are being allocated and organized state by state, sometimes locality by locality, as far as signing up and getting your shot, and there might be limited quantities in some areas. So scammers are saying, you know, for a fee, this seems to be the common thing, right? For a fee, we can help you get to the top of the list. We can make an appointment for you, all of this. But really, they're just looking once again to get your personal information and your money.
Yeah, same story, just a new scam, really. But you're so right. It's just trying to figure out a way to interdict into normal activity, and especially when there's something that's perhaps urgent. And I guess a lot of new needs have arisen as a result of the pandemic, such as the need for PPE and vaccines. And of course, you've got the transfer of money. And anytime there's money being transferred, especially from the government to people, there's always an opportunity for impropriety, and the scammers know that, and they seize on those opportunities, and they shake down the people and the taxpayers in a lot of cases. I personally learned that someone had filed unemployment benefits on my behalf. I think the last figure I looked at said there's some $300 billion of unemployment fraud going on with the additional benefits being paid. So,
yeah, and you know, we have a dedicated web page at ftc.gov/coronavirus where we talk about all of these scams and what the red flags are and how you can protect yourself and others. So we really encourage people to take a look at that page. It's, again, ftc.gov/coronavirus.
Colleen, is there a certain demographic that is more vulnerable, deemed to be more subject to fall for these scams, like the elderly population, for example, that maybe are not as familiar with all the digital tools and systems and so forth? Are they a higher target for these folks?
Well, now you would think that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But our information shows that younger people are actually more vulnerable to these scams. They report losing more money or fraud more often than older people.
Wow.
So when we take a look at the demographics here, Younger people, age 20 to 29, for example, 44% report losing money to fraud more often than older people. And when we look at the age group 70 to 79, it's only 20%. But let me tell you a little bit about the amount lost, and that's where older people do lose more overall.
Okay, I got you.
Age 20 to 29, it's roughly $324. Age 70 to 79, it's $635. But when you reach 80 plus years of age, it's upwards of $1,300.
Interesting. And so are these, is the nature of these scams, are they being perpetrated through text, through email, through phone calls, other forms of communication, all the above, or is there any kind of preferred approach here?
Really, it is all of the above. There are fake websites. People are being contacted by text and email. People are also getting phone calls. And even, some, we don't hear much about this, it's even door to door.
Wow.
So really the scammers are using most of the same approaches they've used in the past. I think technology makes it easier to cast a wider net faster.
Yeah.
But a lot of these scams are just being perpetrated by those avenues.
And I know you directed us earlier. Would you mind saying it again, Colleen, the website that advises people, informs people on what to be on the lookout for?
Sure. It's ftc.gov/coronavirus.
Thank you. So could you share with us some of the more prevalent approaches that our audience should be aware of and be tuned into?
Sure. So one of the things that we're seeing is, people getting emails and texts, and they're coming out of the blue from people, organizations, companies they don't know. And if anyone is asking you to click on a link in a text or an email or open an attachment, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
That could download malware on your device. It could take you to another site. You could be asked to enter in personal information. That's definitely a red flag. You don't want to do that. And sometimes, we're seeing imposter scams. One of the popular scams we're seeing right now is people are getting their vaccine, and then they may be getting a text or an email. It looks like it's coming from, one of the manufacturers, whether it be Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca. And, they're saying we really would like, some of the information about your experience. Could you share it? And as an enticement, they'll offer you money or a prize. All you have to do is what? Pay shipping and handling to get that. So people are like, well, I'm really proud of the fact that I got my vaccine. I'm excited about it. Sure, I'm willing to help, provide some information about my experience. But, that's just the hook. That's the catch. And so once they've got you and you start providing like your credit card account number, that's exactly what they want.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, go. You're doing perfect. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, sure. So that's one thing we want people to watch out for. The bottom line here is none of the vaccine manufacturers are sending out any type of surveys. So that should be right up there. If you get one of these emails or one of these texts, it's bogus. It's not real. So that's a really good point right now for people to be on the watch out for. The other thing related to the vaccine is, like I said earlier, people are really excited that they're getting their vaccinations, and everybody gets their little card that says, I got my first dose or I got my first and second dose, and people have been posting those online, social media platforms. Please don't do that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't think that it's a big deal. I mean, it has your name and your date of birth, but that information helps identity thieves. They may find other information about you somewhere else, and these are all puzzle pieces, that go together.
Yeah.
And once they have enough information about you, the next thing you know, they could be opening up accounts in your name. You have things showing up on your credit report that you don't have any idea where they came from.
Unbelievable and terrible to boot. Colleen, thanks so much for joining us today. Really appreciate your insight and for informing our audience.
Absolutely. My appreciation to you all for helping us get the word out.
You bet. Colleen Tressler, Senior Project Manager of the Federal Trade Commission's Division of Consumer and Business Education, has been our guest. Stay with us. The JT Show continues after.